Morning, babe. Let me know what coffee you want. I'm so excited to see you. Okay, love you lots. Bye. I'll get it. Okay, I've made you a coffee.
Oh, I need a strong coffee, babes.
Me too. Sienna's
Thank
been
you.
screaming for like 2 hours already this morning since like 5
I've had the
a.m.
same thing. Perfect. Cheers, love you.
Cheers.
Let's go.
Okay, should we just do it?
Let's just do it. Okay. Rip the plaster off. Oh my God, I've never been down here
I know,
before.
You haven't seen it before since we moved.
Babe. Wow, it's stunning.
It's really cozy.
You've done such a great job. I love it. Making me very nervous now.
It's like the perfect place to record it. It's like this little safe space.
I know, I love it. Oh my gosh, what is that logo? I'm so scared.
I know, babe, now that looks like so slick.
Yeah, we're really doing this. I'm really nervous.
Okay.
Am I actually going to say anything, do you think?
I mean, they'll make us sound good.
Okay,
Don't
are you
worry.
sure?
Yeah,
Are you
it's
sure?
Gonna be edited.
Okay, do you want me to sit here?
Yeah, you go there.
Okay.
Get comfy.
Get comfy.
It's just us having chats. Like, I'm nervous too.
Okay.
Just, deep breath.
Take a deep breath, take a deep breath.
Anything we want.
Okay, fine. Great. Ooh.
And it's just us chatting like we do all the time.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. We can do this. Okay, all right, my love.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
What's your name? Where'd you come from?
Cilla Black. Okay.
Wow, here we are. Welcome to this podcast. Okay, oh, it feels a bit weird introducing yourself, doesn't it? Okay, hi, I am Millie McIntosh. I am an influencer, I guess. I still feel weird calling myself that. But I create content and I'm also a mum. And I have known Charlie for
14 years I worked it out to be the other day. It's a long old time.
And a while ago, about 13 years ago, I was on this little show called Millie and Charlie. So some people may know me from that.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I am an old friend of yours, Millie. We live very close to each other and we speak multiple times a day. I also own some businesses. So I've got a fashion PR agency in London and I'm also about to launch a healthy kids food brand. I'm also the proud mama of 2. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we know each other. So we've known each other for, as we said, 14 years. You know, me being a fashion PR, obviously Millie, a fashion influencer, our kind of lives just, seamlessly intertwined. And we also lived next door to each other, didn't we, for years?
I literally lived like 5 minutes from your office. So I would be in there like literally twice a week and be like, are you working? It was a bit like ab fab, like just stroll in and be like, are you working? Like I wouldn't even tell you I was coming and just like show up and then just expect you to have lunch with me and like steal you away from your work for like most of the
Best
afternoon.
Fridays ever.
I mean, I just try on like everything in the showroom, borrow most of it and then and just have really good goss.
Yeah, that was it. We had always had the best chats. And I think one unique thing our friendship we've always had is just an ability to be just totally real, always have those raw kind of unedited chats with each other. We've been through a lot now together.
I know. I think since becoming mums as well, it's like just changed our friendship and we speak even more than ever. Like we're busier than ever, but I feel like we're closer than ever because we've got this added thing to like bond over and talk about.
And it's a hard old lonely journey, I think, motherhood. And I think, Millie, I'm talking from experience, you've definitely been there for me through all the kind of, ups and downs of it. And as you said, I think it's just made us so close.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Oh. And I think this isn't just going to be about parenting. I think, Millie and I are definitely more than just mums. We've got, a lot going on. We obviously both own our own businesses. We've got partners. We've got lots of things to talk about. But I think obviously, parenting is such a current topic for us personally.
We've both got preschool age children currently.
Exactly.
So it's very much like, I'm sure that there'll be a baby down here in a minute to feed.
100%, yeah. So it's such a massive part of our lives right now. But, there is so much more to say. And, I'm sure that will kind of weave itself in and out of the conversations as we go along. So should we get specific, Mel? Should we talk about, our kids and their names and their personalities and things like that? So I've got Orlando, so he's now 4. He is very much like me in personality. He's emotional and very kind of empathetic. And Scarlett, who's just about to turn 1, she's very much like my husband. She's just a total stoic and very chilled and relaxed and calm.
She's such a chilled baby.
She's a chiller.
She's so gorgeous.
Yeah. So,
And my daughter Sienna's actually obsessed with Orlando as
Yeah,
well, which
she
is
is.
really cute. She's got like a mega crush on him. So I've got Sienna, who is about to turn 2. Can't believe it. And Aurelia, who is 4.5 months.
how did you find your pregnancies and things like that? Were they different from one to the other?
I found my pregnancies quite similar in a way. I had 2 girls, morning sickness with both of them. I had very similar births. I had 2 planned C-sections.
Yeah.
Which we can go more into another time because I love talking about that. And the main difference for me is the first one, everything's very new. It's quite scary. I was quite anxious.
Yeah.
I would say I did feel a lot of the symptoms. I had like kind of the nausea, then I had the pelvic pain. I mean, I had that in my second one as well, but because it was all new, it felt harder.
Yeah.
And then second time I kind of was like, okay, well, I know what helped last time. And also the first time I had like more time to just sit around like relaxing. So then the second time
true.
you've got like a toddler already. So it's a really different experience. So I'd say it was like less of a shock the second time. And I felt calmer and the scans and things felt like less scary. I kind of knew like what to expect.
Yeah.
I found it really hard to walk with both pregnancies towards the end because of the pelvic pain.
Oh yes,
So I
remember.
literally just felt quite limited. Like I couldn't really walk. I could literally walk like, for like 10 minutes and feel fine. And anything more than that, I was in pain.
Yeah.
So that was quite frustrating.
Did you have any cravings? I can't remember if you did.
Yeah, loads of cravings. Sweet and salty.
Okay.
Lots of like sweet and salty flavor combos.
Yeah.
And for both pregnancies, when I felt sick in that kind of first trimester, it was just loads of beige food. All the beige, all the crisps, all the
No vegetables.
all the pastries. Like no vegetables. Yeah, it was all of the beige food, and that kind of continued as a theme all the way through. But I'd say the second pregnancy, I was aware of maybe trying to eat a few other food groups. Weren't just like
bread.
So those were mine, and I was really lucky with both of mine in terms of conceiving as well. Actually, I feel freakishly lucky. Like
you were actually.
I had to like convince him to try with the first one. Like I was like, come on, it's going to take a while. So let's just start now.
I told you it would take 2 years.
Yeah, you told me it would take like 2 years. And I was thinking, okay, I'm like 30 now. Like we went away to Bali for my like 30th birthday. And I was like, let's just start trying. And like we came back from the holiday and I was pregnant. So that was it. And then Aurelia just kind of came out of the blue when we weren't trying at all.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
So that, 2 under 2 wasn't the original plan, but it's happened, and like I wouldn't have it any other way now. And I feel like everyone's really going to want to know about your.
Mine was so we started off on the same, with the same thing. So I wanted a baby, got pregnant, had a baby. That was it. And
how did you feel when you were pregnant with Orlando?
Orlando, it was easy. It was like it was just so simple.
You
I had
were
a few
literally this tiny
cravings.
thing
Yeah, I just had a bump.
With this
massive boobs, massive bump, and
this gorgeous massive bump.
Yeah, and
I
stayed
just
the
remember seeing
same.
you teetering around, just like trying to get out the car.
Yeah, I mean,
and
he was
stuff.
big. They were both big babies.
He was big baby.
They're big babies, but like relatively speaking to me, I'm not a big person, but it was fine. It was super easy. My struggle was, I remember Millie and I started trying at the same time, and you got pregnant straight away, and this was my number 2.
And when you wanted your second one, yeah,
and this is when we were seeing each other, 3 times a week and talking. It's all we could talk about, and anyway, I just expected it to happen straight away. It didn't. 4 months down the line, I was, I always, I've got my own career and I strive to get things that I want, and I can succeed in things, and this just wasn't happening for me. And I was like, what's going on? So I kind of threw the kitchen sink at it, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. I was kind of charting and doing ovulation charts. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried pre-seed, but it's probably the most unsexy thing in this whole entire planet. Oh, do you want me to go into it? It's
Is that when you're injecting yourself?
No, it's basically a gel that that you have to put up there when the moment arises. So I mean, it was pretty horrendous for my husband because there's no spontaneity with pre-seed.
What is it? So is it a bit? So it's a bit like
meant to hold everything up there and help with conception. So And then when the situation would arise, I'd have to run and get the pre-seed. And my husband was like, oh God, this is awful. And then it would be like the River Nile.
Yeah.
It was just, bad. And it was just awful. And I think by month 10, my husband would just look at me and go inverted. He was like, this is just like, just go away. And so I actually was Googling, this is no joke, this is God's honest truth. I was Googling turkey basting, which I don't know if you know about, but that is when you don't need a man, when you just, you actually can just inseminate yourself. That's how far it went. It was a journey.
I remember chatting and being like, is tonight the night? And you would be like, babe, I'm going to have to literally pounce on him.
And so, yes, this was 10 months in and, poor Johnny. Anyway, so lockdown then happened and we had to move in with his parents because we were in a tiny flat at the time.
Yeah.
And we had obviously a newborn and a small child. And so obviously that kind of put, shut that door. And so we were like, no more trying. Absolutely not. We're not going to have sex in your parents'
less
house.
sexy.
Yeah, like we're not doing it. Anyway, of course, then I got pregnant. And it's actually sad. So, but they were all rejoicing. We told them straight away, and actually,
you told them
because
quite early as soon as you found out.
Well,
right?
yeah, we were actually only 4 weeks pregnant, but I didn't want them to know that we'd been kind of shagging in their house. So we pretended I was 3 months along.
Married.
I know, but also they don't want that going on, in the next door room. So we told them we were actually 3 months along, whereas actually we were only 4 weeks. And so they, were ecstatic. They got the champagne out. They were all like so happy for us. And so then I went for a really early scan, but they obviously thought it was my big 3-month scan, and it was actually only my 6-week scan. And I went for it, and I just, I'd had such an easy pregnancy with Orlando that I just didn't expect any of this. I just thought I'd go in for my scan. There's the heartbeat, all fine. And they said the woman wasn't, she was quite, to the point and, scientific about the whole thing. And she said, oh, the heartbeat's really slow. If you get any bleeding, let me know. And I said, what? What do you mean?
Shock.
Yeah. But actually it wasn't like it wasn't the end. It was just, it was like, if you
she wasn't 100%.
She wasn't 100%, but she was like, be positively optimistic, like, it'd probably be fine. And then I actually went back to someone else because I didn't want to go back to that person, but I went back to someone else, and it was lockdown. Johnny couldn't come in with me, and he was waiting outside in the car.
Another week later?
It was a week later, and hadn't had any bleeding or anything, but that was when it was just me and her and the sonographer, and she just said, I'm so sorry, but I can't find the heartbeat. And Johnny wasn't there, and I literally just like, God, just like the weirdest feeling. I just kind of just thought, when you're just so excited about something and you plan ahead, I'd already like planned the nursery and what I was going to call the baby. And, I just thought, oh my God, that's the end of the journey. And I've been trying so hard to get here. I just cannot believe that
heartbreaking.
This is it. Johnny kind of was like, jumping outside of the car saying like, is everything all right? And I just thought, it was like the worst moment we've ever had as a couple. And anyway, so we kind of dealt with that, at his parents' house in lockdown. And I was so lucky because I actually went back to see a gynecologist, and I just said, look, this has happened and I really want a baby. Like, I really, really, I'm in it now. I'm ready. Like, what can I do? And she said, well, I can give you a trigger shot. And I'd never heard of any of this stuff before. And I just said, just do it. So so it's basically you have to do an ovulation test. When you see a smiley face, you give yourself a trigger shot, and that's meant to just help you ovulate.
It's like an injection.
It's an injection you give yourself, and it's just meant to, lube everything up, and I'm sure
so it's
there's
just
a more
like meant
scientific...
to better your chances of conception.
Exactly, and it worked, and got pregnant, the next month, and anyway,
you can be like more fertile. It's about after a failed pregnancy or after a pregnancy loss.
Exactly.
Your body's like can be ready to go again like quite quickly.
Exactly. That's what she said. So anyway, but the whole pregnancy was just wrapped with anxiety. I can't imagine how that would feel, my love. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I actually had I did have some bleeding, and actually, through the pregnancy, and it actually wasn't what everyone kind of jumps to the conclusion that that's the end. And actually
it's the last thing you want to see,
of course,
when you're pregnant.
And I obviously, from what I'd experienced, just thought, oh my gosh, it's happening again. I can't believe it. And actually, it ended up being something called a hematoma, which is apparently really common. And apparently lots and lots of people have bleeding during pregnancies. And now I've kind of spoken quite openly to a few friends about it, they're like, oh, I've had a hematoma. I had a hematoma for the whole of my last pregnancy, or mine disappeared.
It's one
at
of the
12
things
weeks.
I feel like people don't talk about it a lot.
No one spoke about it. I didn't know what it was.
But can you actually just tell the story of what happened?
Yeah. So I must have been 8 weeks, and I was just lying in bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night with this like crazy, horrible, like piercing pain in my stomach, and I just felt like I was going to die. And what also was interesting is I was still being sick because I had such bad morning sickness. So I was still being sick, which in hindsight shows that obviously your hormones were still really high. So I was being sick and having all this bleeding, and my husband called an ambulance. He couldn't come with me because I obviously had my toddler asleep in the other room. So went in an ambulance, and they were saying, I'm so sorry. This is awful. I can't believe it's happening to you again, because I'd kind of told them a bit of the story. And anyway, I literally...
So you thought, I'm losing the baby 100%. Because you were like bleeding a lot and you're in pain.
It was a lot of blood, and I 100% thought that I was losing the baby. And anyway, went to A&E and stayed there for the whole night. They ran all these tests, and they were all, I was obviously sobbing. I was, calling my mom, and I just said to my mom, I can't go through this again. Like, this is it. Like, Orlando is it. I can't go through it again. And then waited for the whole night, and I really begged them to give me a scan. I was like, please just give me a scan. I just want to know, like, a definitive yes or no. And I'm sure it's a no, but I just want to know.
Just check.
And so they did. So at 9 a.m. when it all opened, I went upstairs to the scan department, and they did an internal scan, and the woman said, there's a heartbeat. And I'm going to cry. I'm so sorry.
Really
oh my God.
Well.
And she got... Sorry. And anyway, she was so lovely, and she gave me a massive hug, and she said, there's a heartbeat, she'll be fine. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect that at all. And she was fine. And then and now she's here, and she's just and I think
she's the most amazing baby.
Because of all of this, I just look at her now, and I just like, I cannot believe she's here after all of that, of that journey. And she's amazing.
She is. She's literally like heaven.
Yeah.
The slice of heaven. And you're the most amazing mummy.
Oh, thanks. Anyway, sorry about that.
No, babe, don't apologise. Like, literally, I feel like laughter, tears, like
absolutely,
all of it. Just
absolutely.
let it out.
Yeah.
I'm such an emotional person as well. Literally, I'm like crying constantly.
So I mean, totally different pregnancies, but
yeah, very different experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. What's been the hardest bit for you then, do you think, of this whole journey so far?
I would say Sienna's hip dysplasia was quite hard to deal with when she was like 4. I actually keep thinking back to it, because at the stage we're at with Aurelia now, she's like 4.5 months. So from when Sienna was 3 months old to when she was almost 5 months old, she was wearing this Pavlik harness to help with her hip dysplasia. So it kind of feels like time that was a bit like robbed from us, because obviously we did have the baby with us, but it was like this thing that was kind of in the way. It was like annoying, and it was, you couldn't hold her properly, you couldn't feed her properly, and she really cried for like weeks and was like uncomfortable and like tried to resist it, and it was really heartbreaking. And at the same time as her being in it, we also realized she had silent reflux, and we had to resolve that. So it was all like quite a challenging time. But when we came out the other side, everything felt so much easier when it came off, and once her reflux was settled, basically because we haven't had that with Aurelia, and they've checked her hips and they're fine. It's just felt like this period has been like plain sailing in comparison. It does make you really appreciate like when it's good, right?
Totally. Yeah.
I'd say that's probably been like we've been so lucky, because that's like a very minor thing. But 2 under 2 is like no joke.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
Superhero right there.
The terrible twos, which we'll also get.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that more later.
I think mine is just like finding the balance. I think like it's such an amazing
constant struggle.
Yeah, there lies the dilemma, right? how do you juggle?
It's like your identity changes.
Yeah,
like, it's like scientifically proven that you are not the same after you have children.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to embrace this new person that you're becoming.
Yeah.
And then it's like you have to kind of mourn the loss of like your old life and the old you.
Absolutely.
And like your friendships change, like your relationship changes with yourself, like even with your family. Like, yeah, it's massive. It's like the biggest change I've ever been through.
Me too. I've definitely tried to juggle. I mean, I've really like.
Well, motherhood is literally a juggling act.
Yeah, it is. And also like having a career. And I feel like that meme sometimes, have you ever seen that meme when it's like that woman driving 1,000 miles an hour and her hair's like blowing in the wind and her face is all stretched and she's like, just trying to be a mum, have a career, like drink water, text my friends back, like tell my parents I love them. Literally that is real life. That is how I feel. So I think that's been the hardest bit, is just the juggle, basically.
I feel like we've got to share some embarrassing moments on here.
Okay, come on then.
And one of my favourite stories that you've ever told me is when your first ever outing with both the kids.
So this is when, so I just had Scarlett, my youngest, and she was a newborn and I was left with them all. So I had my toddler, my newborn and my dog. And I was just there on my own. And it was my first kind of FML, how do people do this? Like on their own with multiple things going on. So I had this very romantic notion in my mind. And
as we often do.
That's how I imagined it, going out for the day with them all. I bought a little picnic rug. I wanted to sit under a tree with some dappled light, get a little coffee, watch the world go by, that kind of thing. Anyway, so I strapped them all into the pram. It's really hard to do with multiple people.
It's so hard to even just get out the front door.
Yeah. So anyway, I had the baby in the bassinet, the toddler on the buggy board, the dog kind of hanging out on a lead on the side. So far, so good. Walked to the park. And anyway, so I bought some falafel wraps on the way there and I thought that's what we're going to eat. So chic. Anyway, toddlers literally fucking hate falafel. Didn't realise that. So that was my first mumlemma. So I had hummus and falafel like all over my nice white company rug. Horrendous. Then the baby started screaming. So, also it was quite busy because it was like the first kind of sunny day. So there were lots of, picnic rugs around. There were a group of teenagers next to me. Anyway, so I was breastfeeding, obviously. So the baby starts crying. I pull the baby out and I don't know if anyone uses muslins, but I just...
I just can't be bothered. I just get my boob out.
Yeah, but like people, the thought of it is like, you just place it, a bit of linen over your shoulder and it's just fab. Anyway, it wasn't like that at all. So, suddenly a gust of wind, blowing it away. It suddenly was like wrapped up in a little ball. Anyway, so as I was trying to get this like ginormous boob, I mean, remember how big they were, when you first had a baby.
They're like just the size of your head.
Horrendous, trying to get it out of, this top. And anyway, so the muslin's like flying around. And the teenagers, I could see a little bit of a side eye and I'm like, just ignore them, crack on. So anyway, so I'm doing all of this. And then my toddler springs up in the air and he's like, I need a wee. And he runs out basically into the road and he pulls his pants down, his trousers and pants down. And so he was basically naked in the road. And just, being a mum, I think my first instinct, I just sprung up in the air. Obviously, then my boobs fell out my top. So he was naked. I was naked. I road runnered over the teenager's rug. And, they were like literally agog, like
so you're literally like running with your boobs out just to get your toddler
totally out.
With the baby, like, is she still like attached to one of your boobs?
So the baby was screaming. The toddler was screaming. I was crying. The only one that wasn't crying was the dog, and we were all there like some naked mess. And I just thought, what, next time, like TV day.
Yeah.
TV day.
Like you said to me.
Keep it simple.
You got the kids on your own and you don't know what to do. Just stay in, lock the doors, put the TV on.
Never again.
Safest option.
Yeah.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
I've had that image for you in my head so many times.
Yeah. So that was bad start. So what about you, babe? What's your most embarrassing kid moment?
Oh, I mean, I feel like there's been quite a few. I had a real low point actually. Oh God, I don't even know if I want to say this.
You got to say it. You got to say it.
When I was pregnant with Aurelia, I was with Sienna. I'd taken her to the park and I was probably about 6 months pregnant. It was the summer. It was quite a hot day. And I was nauseous at the beginning, but I'd gone past the like nauseous stage. And suddenly I just started to feel really unwell when we were in the park. Like I'd met another mum friends. We were like having a chat. I started like sweating, getting like stomach cramps. I was really out of breath and I thought, this is really weird. I was like, am I having contractions? I really started to panic. I just felt like something was really wrong.
Oh, I remember this.
And I had to go and like sit down. And luckily there was this other mum there. So I was like, okay, can you just like keep an eye on Sienna? She was like, you're right. I was like, I just need a moment. I'm just going to go sit down. I was like, okay, something's like not good. And then, oh, this is so embarrassing that I literally...
Can you say it?
I literally was like, I just had this like sense. I was like, oh no, something's wrong. Something bad's going to happen.
Did you shit yourself?
basically, yeah, in a park. It was so bad. Literally my most embarrassing thing ever. And like such a low point. You're already 6 months pregnant, feeling like so uncomfortable.
You know what? We've all been there.
But I didn't have time to get to a bathroom. I was like thinking, I was like, oh. So I ran into a bush and luckily grabbed some water wipes out the bottom of the buggy. And luckily there was no children like hiding out in the bush. But
this is the stuff they don't tell you. This is what happened.
And I was so upset and like humiliated. I had to like message Hugo and be like, come and get me from the park. And he was like, what's wrong? I was like,
did you tell the friend you were with?
I did tell the friend I was with. I have to say we were a lot closer, like instantly. I actually never told Hugo. I just said I was sick because I was so embarrassed.
He knows now.
Oh God, he's gonna know. But yeah, honey, that's what happened that time at the park. Let's never talk about it though. And it's probably one of the it was one of my biggest fears ever that would happen, and it happened in public.
That's the joys of pregnancy.
And then I spoke to my obstetrician. He was like, it could just be like some hormonal imbalance, like the baby could have just moved and like disrupted like a bowel. I was like, oh, anyway. It hasn't happened since, but I have to say it was a low point, and I can't believe I've just admitted that. And everyone's gonna know about it.
I love it. That's what this is all about.
So embarrassing. I think I'm winning right now, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
You need to do something more embarrassing.
I do. Got a few on my sleeve.
It's time for Mumlemmas.
Right, so in this part of the show, we're going to be asking each other for help on our dilemma that we've had this week around parenthood. So do you want me to start actually? Or do you want to go?
I can go.
You go. What's
Okay.
been your mumlemma this week?
So my mumlemma this week, and to be honest, for the last few weeks, is that Sienna is being very testing. And she's almost 2. So it's like, people call it the terrible twos. I don't want to call it that, but it has been quite terrible. Lots of people also call it like the tremendous twos. I think that's quite a good name for it. Yeah, I've seen that quite a lot on Instagram. People like rephrasing it, reframe. But let's be honest, yeah, it's really difficult. All the basic things I need to get her to do during the day: get dressed, eat, get into the pushchair, bath time, bedtime. It's just a complete nightmare because she just says no.
Yeah.
It's like no is like the only word she knows, and I hear it all day long, and it's like she hates me. It's really hard. And a lot of the time I do think she is kind of testing for a reaction and seeing like, how far can I push? And
yeah,
I've been in tears over it. Like it's really hard. And I've heard lots of parents talk about like this being a difficult time, but until you're in it, you just don't know how you're going to find it.
Totally.
And obviously I do also have a new baby. So
I found it like
really
one of the
challenging.
hardest points. It's basically when they go from baby to toddler,
yeah,
isn't
she's
it?
right in that like bit in between where she's not quite a toddler yet, and she's almost like kind of not a baby anymore.
Yeah, and they just want to assert their independence and push all the buttons and push boundaries, but the beauty of toddlers is that everything, I know everyone says it, but it is just a phase, and
right?
It just goes. And
Okay, phew.
Yeah, and eventually, I mean, oh gosh, I feel like I've just come out of it, and Orlando's 4, so it's a pretty big period.
Okay, so like, how long am I in it for?
Yeah, I mean, ours was like 2 years.
Oh, good.
Okay, perfect. No, but
thanks.
sometimes it's like a few months, or I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes I literally walk into the room and she's just like, "No, mummy," and I'm like, what do you mean? And she literally just holds her hand up as if she's literally just like no to just me in general. She's just like, no,
just you.
Just like, as in like, don't even come in the room. Like, I don't want you in here. It's like so mean.
I know, it's literally heartbreaking.
She's gonna literally break my heart.
Yeah, but it will come to an end. So you just got to ride through it. I mean,
sometimes I just don't know. Like, if she's having a tantrum, do I kind of try and cuddle her because often she doesn't want to be like held? Do I kind of leave her? Like it's a really tricky one.
I actually remember downloading an audiobook when I was going through this exact stage about Danish parenting, and how apparently they're the happiest nation in the world, and about how they parent. And apparently they like get down onto their kids' level and they like talk them through, and they just imagine it's an adult. Imagine if you were having a problem and you were trying to tell me about your problem and I was just saying walking away or saying, oh, you're so annoying, or, you know, and that's how they say, imagine that you're talking to a friend and you just have to get down on their level and just, you know, talk it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried, it's really hard.
I've tried,
But-
and I feel like she's just slightly too young to like, because she can say like 3 words in a row in a sequence, but we could not. I think there's a lot of frustration for her at this like communication level
Totally.
because she's not quite there yet, and you know, she's not even 2 yet. But actually being able to like express what's upsetting her.
But I think that's all part of it. It's that they just want to be heard, even though they can't communicate. It's like they want to.
So I
to
posted
listen.
about it
did
on
you?
Instagram. Good old Insta.
Good old Insta.
And to get, you know, some feedback. And actually I was really overwhelmed. I had loads of people, loads of lovely people write comments and say things that has helped them. So should I read some of them out? Because I think some of them are actually super useful. And a lot of people actually were like, good luck, because this lasts for like
Did they?
1 to 2 years. And I was like, oh. Lots of people also just saying, I'm going to be looking on here because I'm about to have my second one and I don't know what to do. So, okay, this comment is from Frosty Baby Boutique. And she said, the tantrums are unreal. Yeah. And she's still navigating through it with the second one as well. So she says that something that she found works is if her daughter's having a tantrum, she turns the narrative to something she likes. Okay, so if she's lying on the floor crying because she doesn't want to get dressed, she'll say, okay, let's go read a book. Let's get mummy your favorite book. So it's kind of like a distraction. So it's like,
Totally.
that's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I have found like, trying to like distract her out of it has been good. And also like offering her choices.
Yeah.
So if it's like getting dressed is a nightmare, you can go, okay, which of these 3 outfits do you want to wear?
Yeah. Good
Rather
advice.
than being like, you've got to wear this. But I think you've got to pick the things where you can give a choice, because if it's, are you wearing a seatbelt or not? It's like, you've got to wear the seatbelt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not a choice. But you can have bran flakes or Cheerios.
Yeah. Actually, you know what I just thinking about it now, what I used to there was a direct correlation with food. Now I'm thinking back to it, it's like, actually, he would be in this amazing mood if he'd eaten really well. And if he hadn't, which obviously toddlers, you know, go through.
It can be tricky getting them to eat.
Yeah, and you just think, oh, it'll be fine. And actually it was never fine. Do you know what I mean? I think that was for me, I learned
if he was hungry,
along the way.
he was like more
that if
grumpy.
I just kept him stocked up with food, he was an absolute dream. And so that is actually, now I think back, what I learned from that entire period. Food.
Just food.
Cram it in.
and feed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know what your mumlemma is.
So my mumlemma this week is Orlando keeps coming into our room at night. So he's now 4, and as a baby he slept so well, and now he wakes up, comes into our bed
Every night.
And I have actually, so at the beginning someone told me to start using tokens. So, you know, you'd give him a token, and if he slept in his bed for the whole night, he would get a token, and at the end of the week he could get a present.
That sounds like a good
idea. And it worked. Anyway, now it doesn't work. Nothing works.
Okay, so he's like, no, giving up on that.
Yeah, giving up. He's too smart. He knows about the token trick. So yeah, so he comes into our room, I'd say about 2 or 3 in the morning. My husband's, got so much work on, and he's a really light sleeper. So he's being woken up every night. Also, I don't know if you've ever slept in the bed with a toddler, but firstly, they're boiling. Secondly, they'll, smash you in the head. They'll spin around, their legs will like...
I've tried it recently. It's one of the things I had like a really romantic idea about.
Totally, it's one of those.
I thought it would be sweet, like her head on my shoulder while I stroke her hair, and then we both fall asleep and have a really lovely nap.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's really stressful.
Yeah.
It's not cute. It's literally being punched in the face, hot sticky thing, trying to stop them falling out the bed.
Or when they clamp onto you, like with all their limbs, and it's, yeah. And so that's what my husband gets. He always gets the smash in the face. Like
Does he go like in the middle?
He'll get like a bang in the nose when he's like,
they just they don't stay
drifted
still.
off. Yeah. So, and also our dog now sleeps in the bed. I don't know what it is. It's just all of them. He's now like penciled in between all 4, there's 4 of us like in a line. And, he's old and he has chapped lips, and he just chaps his lips all night. So anyway, my husband's like beside himself with this. So he now sleeps in the spare room. We've had loads of fights about it. He's like, you have to stop this. And anyway, so this is my week's
like, how do you like how do you go back to getting him to sleep through the night?
I have my own conclusion on why I think it's happening.
Okay.
I think it's because when we first had the baby, you know, the jealousy dynamic.
Yeah.
I think that now she's got to 1, she's actually, her character is starting to show, and he's always been the star of our show. You know, he's like big character. Everyone loves him.
Okay.
And I feel like she's now it's like divided now.
So he wasn't that jealous, but now it's starting to affect him more.
She was kind of like, you know, when they're so little, they don't, you know, they just sit
like
there and look
blob.
gorgeous, but, you know, and I think that's what's happened. He's suddenly, this is his like undivided attention with us in the middle of the night. You know, he knows it causes a bit of drama. So that's what I think is happening.
You're probably spot on, because it's normally linked to something else that's going on that's like a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Just like us with our sleep, right? Like if we start sleeping badly, it's normally because of like something else that we've got going on in our like daily lives.
Exactly.
It's a problem that's like keeping us up in the night.
Yeah. I don't know how long
we
it
waved
lasts,
goodbye
but...
to having like
to
having sleep for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, I find it just like comes and goes. Like you'll have maybe a week or 2 of like good sleep, and people will be like, "Are your children good sleepers?" And I'll be like, so smug. Like, yeah, both mine sleep through the night. Like, yeah, nailed it. And then like a week later, I'm literally like, oh my God, they've both been awake. Like,
but I don't think you can ever
reason.
be smug with kids. I think that's been my biggest mum lesson.
Yeah.
Is that the
So
second you're
true.
smug, it comes and bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, the moment you think you've got it nailed,
totally.
yeah, you're literally laughing.
Yeah.
100%. I think what I should do is ask the amazing Alison Scott Wright.
Oh, I'd love you to do
she's,
that.
Like an amazing sleep and reflux expert.
Didn't she just write a book on toddler sleep too?
She's written 2 books, and her new one is all about toddler sleep. It's called The Sensational Toddler Sleep Plan.
Amazing.
She helped a lot with Sienna, getting her into a sleep routine. So let's get some advice from Alison.
I'd love that.
Okay, well, I'm going to like leave her a voice note, and then we'll get her tips on how to deal with
Amazing.
With toddlers. We can talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, fab.
Wow, we made it. Our first podcast episode is done.
So how did you find that, Mill?
That was really fun.
It was, wasn't it?
I was a little bit nervous, I think, just because it's like a new thing. But I loved it. Literally sitting in my basement with my best mate having a chat.
Yeah, I feel like we do this every day anyway, so it's no different to that.
And thank you everyone for listening. I hope it's been an enjoyable experience. I mean, I admitted that I shat myself in public, so that's something I actually didn't think was going to happen, especially this early in the journey. I don't really know where I'm going to go from there, to be honest.
I actually didn't think that was going to happen either. I'm proud of you.
Oh,
big day.
So yeah, you definitely know me a little bit more intimately now.
We've absolutely loved sharing our thoughts with you all, haven't we?
Babe, loved it, and can't wait for the next one.
Until next time, guys, good luck with your life, love, and your little ones. If you guys have got any problems, we'd love to be able to help you. So we've got an email address, it's mm@basementchats.com, or DM us on Instagram @basementchats.
And also don't forget that you are just literally listening to our most authentic and real like thoughts and experiences. We are not experts.
No, we're not doctors.
We are not experts or doctors. So, you know, don't take everything we say. Basically, don't try this at home. Because
And if you do have any problems, like, please do consult a professional.
We would also like to say a big thank you to Laura Gallop of Feast Collective, who is our lovely producer. And also thank you to Basement Chats for allowing us to have this little chat.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow this show in your podcast app.